Hello for all of you who are interested in adoption. If you're new to my channel, then thank you for stopping by. My name is Nyree. On this channel there's lots of tips, advice, support for anybody interested in adoption and for those of you who have already adopted children. And today we have an interview, not an interview exactly, but questions and answers, which I sent over to a lovely couple who have then described their experience thus far of the adoption process. And I believe they've just gone to panels. This is Rachel and David.
Hi guys, my name's Dave.
And I'm Rachel.
We've been married for 4 years now and we are in the adoption process.
So we've been following Nyree's channel since she first started, and she's asked us to create a video about our experiences in the adoption process so far.
Brilliant. So Rachel, how long have you been thinking about adoption?
I think we'd always talked about adoption as something we wanted to do from, I think, since we were married, really. Yeah. But it was always a sort of like far off, like, oh, when we grow older, we'll adopt. But it wasn't until about a year ago, maybe a little bit longer, we decided that actually adoption was something we wanted to do. Okay, so the next question we got is, what are our current jobs and what will we do when we adopt?
So I work for a charity and we provide mobile schools resources around the country. Still plan on doing that once we adopt, but my job offers quite good flexibility. So I'm looking at sort of, depending on our children's needs, sort of looking at taking some time off during the week, during the holidays, just to be able to support, as well as sort of time off right at the start to make sure they settle in and try create attachments and start that process. What about you?
I'm a primary school teacher currently. I teach upper key stage 2, so the older children in primary school. I'm planning on taking a year off when we adopt to settle our children in and like help them feel part of the family, and then I'll return back to work part-time.
Great. So what makes you so passionate about adoption?
I think we both feel like we were brought up in really loving, caring homes, and we feel like we had a really good start to our early life, and we just feel like that set us up really well for life. And I think we feel like we can share that with children. Yeah, I don't know, you can expand on that a bit.
Yeah, I think just being able to open up our homes and just to share with children. There are lots of children out there who need homes and through whatever situation find themselves within a home which isn't safe and they're not able to stay there, so they've been removed. So that just sort of real need, and just why not start a family that way? Why not start a family through helping children who need a loving home? We've got a loving home, so it kind of makes sense, really.
Yeah. So next question is, how have you found the process so far?
Yeah, pretty good. We've been in the process just under a year now, which seems like quite a long time.
We've had COVID in the middle to deal with, haven't we? Like, that's probably slowed the process down a little bit for us, but
at the same time, it's been like really good because we've been able to like talk about lots of things, spend lots of time together, like discussing. It's really good because you discuss everything, and I'm not sure if we had our own birth children would have spent that much time talking and preparing.
Yeah, like you don't just talk about like the ins and outs, like of just like having a newborn. Like you go through the whole process and talk about like what does it mean to have like teenagers, what happens, and like there's just so many scenarios that you get thrown at that it just forces you to think about like everything, doesn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, there isn't many conversations like we haven't had with our social worker about any hypothetical situation. It's like, so what if this happens and this happens, and yeah, hypothetically.
And it's good to like, we feel like we're on the same page now after doing it.
What's been like the best bit of the process for you?
I think like what we just said, like just being able to have the opportunity to talk about everything, and like we found when we met with our social worker, it feels like a very safe space to kind of explore those issues. Like she presents the questions in a way that we are able to share what we think, and she kind of nudges us towards like, well, have you thought about this, and what would happen if you did this? And it's just been nice to kind of feel like almost have like your hand led through the process.
Yeah, just the sort of the support. So we had gone through our local council adoption, and they've just like supported us. They've given us training. They're always sort of able to help us, and just
they're very much like a phone call away, aren't they?
Yeah, very.
What about the challenges, would you say?
I think there's lots of times when you've got to wait. Like with a birth pregnancy, like you have 9 months and there's like a countdown, but we're like, there's lots of bits of uncertainty. Like you finish some training and then you got some waiting time, and that can vary. You do all your interviews and then you got some time to wait. I think at the time, so we've just finished our sort of assessment and we're waiting to go to panel, but after panel, again, there's that waiting process to find the right match for children for us.
Yeah, and I think that's been really hard for us so far, is like thinking about how do we choose our children, like how do we say no to things that we know aren't right, and like that's been quite challenging, I think.
Yeah, it's been really, like when you see profiles of children, it's really challenging because your heart goes out to them and you kind of think, this is really hard because these children need a loving home. And at the end of the day, you have to think about what you're capable of, and what sort of loving home and stable home you can provide, and the best thing for these children, because it goes both ways. Like we've got to be able to give the best support to these children. Yeah,
if we can't support them in the best way possible, then we're not the right family for them as well.
So we're thinking about siblings.
Yep.
Lots of people might say we're a bit crazy for doing that, but there's lots of siblings out there. What have we had to consider about?
I think like the agency, our local authority, have been really, really good with this. Like they provided like extra training, like just to talking about like what you would need to consider when you think about siblings. And again, it's something like we've talked about a lot with our social worker, like just the practicalities of it, like the different sibling dynamics, like whether children are really overprotective of their sibling and whether they'll let you do like the care proceedings. But I think like lots of it has come down to just like really practical things, like have we got the space to do it? What about our finances? Do we have a good support network around us?
When you're thinking about your matching criteria later on in the process, even early on in the process, it's what ability do you have to meet those children's needs? And as you go through the process, there's no reason why you can't say, well, can we consider the needs of siblings? Can we consider someone with additional needs or behavioural challenges? So it's kind of that asking that question and being aware of your limitations, and the process helps you understand your limitations, as well as it helps you explore things you didn't think you'd explore before.
I think like we've got fairly close relationships with our siblings, and the idea of them, like of us being split apart from them, was just really heartbreaking for us. And I think that was like a really big motivation for us to want to keep them together.
Any top tips for those thinking about adoption or those starting the process?
I think like one of my top tips would be to read as much around trauma and listen to videos, watch like podcasts, whatever it is, but find out about what the effect of early childhood trauma is, and what challenges that presents for adopted children. I think that's been probably like our social workers have really grilled us on that. They want to know that we know, and like I think when we bring our children home, that's going to be something that's really information is going to be vital to us.
I think talking to people who have adopted as well, speak to different people, because everybody's got their own little different experiences and their stories of great days and bad days, and great days like any parents out there. I think don't be put off by the process as well. Sometimes it can seem quite daunting, lots of stages, sometimes lots of bits of paperwork, lots of training, lots of information to take in, but just don't be put off by that, because it is a process, and the process is there to help these children find the right home, but also help you. So just be like open and honest through that. Like you get paired with a social worker in stage 2, and they're not there to discourage you, they're there to help you.
Yeah, I think like I was really nervous before we met our social worker. Like it felt like it was going to be like an interview stage, but we've been really fortunate in the fact our social worker is really lovely. But I think just like bear in mind that they're not there to judge you, they're there to help you and support you and like make you think about these big questions, because ultimately they want to make sure that this family, like your children, are successful in your home. So they're preparing you as well as like checking you're suitable for the children.
But finally, we just want to say, like, if it's something that you want to explore, or you just have, like, there's no harm exploring about it, because you're not signing up to do anything. So just explore, speak to people you know, and don't let anyone put you off from exploring it.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
I hope you enjoyed the interview from Rachel and David. It was really fun to edit the video and see their interactions with each other, and they're clearly really excited about the idea of adopting siblings as well, and I might ask them to make another video or 2 for me. So if you think that a channel around support tips and advice is going to be helpful to you, then as I say, please take the time to subscribe by hitting the little red button or the picture at the end with my face in it. Thank you.